We marveled at Walter White's transformation from a humdrum high school chemistry teacher to a ruthless drug lord and celebrated his meteoric rise. Yet nestled within the critically acclaimed AMC drama were a host of morally compromised characters, each possessing a unique blend of vices and virtues. However, one character who didn't share in the viewer's sympathy was Skyler White. The enigmatic and often polarizing character of Skyler White has intrigued Breaking Bad fans for years. Her journey throughout the series, from the unsuspecting wife to a reluctant partner in her husband's criminal endeavors, was one of the most compelling aspects of the show. But what happened to Skyler after Walter White's death remains mysterious. There is no doubt that Skyler White was an intricate character throughout Breaking Bad's 5 seasons. She initially stood by her husband, Walter, when he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. However, her life took an unexpected turn when she discovered that Walt was not just a chemistry teacher, but a methamphetamine manufacturer and drug lord. As Walt delved deeper into the drug trade, Skyler found herself caught in a web of lies, deceit, and criminal activities. Skyler's journey takes an unexpected turn when she decides to help Walt launder the enormous sums of money he's earned from his illicit drug business. Her involvement in money laundering was both a sign of her devotion to her family and a reflection of her desperation to keep her loved ones safe. This decision marked a turning point in Skyler's character arc as she became more deeply entwined in Walt's criminal world. Skyler found herself under the weight of her husband Walt's criminal activities and a burning desire to protect her children. She was a character riddled with complexity and human flaws, and she was also the most reviled character in the series, often labeled a hypocrite and much worse by the fans. In a story that revolved around Walter White's journey into the criminal underworld, Skyler's character development was overshadowed by her husband's evolution. Despite her difficult situation, the audience rarely showed her empathy, often branding her as whining, spoiled, and perpetually unhappy. This stark contrast in how Walter and Skyler were perceived can be attributed to gender stereotypes. While Walt fit the image of the ruthless provider, Skyler defined the expected docile role ascribed to her gender. Critics of Skyler often pointed out her engagement in what they considered feminine practices, like personal grooming and self-care, which seemed incongruous with the constant lecturing of her hard-working husband. However, it's essential to recognize that Skyler's actions were merely a coping mechanism, her way of maintaining some semblance of normality in the face of a spiraling situation. Breaking Bad portrayed Skyler's journey through manipulation, lies, abuse, and torment at the hands of her husband. Yet the audience's focus remained primarily on Walter White as the victim of his wife's supposed domineering nature. This skewed perspective was highlighted in Season 3, where Walt's manipulation and deception became evident as he presented himself as a devoted family man. The audience, conditioned to emphasize with Walt, failed to see the imminent danger he posed to Skyler and their children. One of the turning points in viewers' perception of Skyler came in Season 5, episode Ozymandias, when Walter kidnapped their daughter. The audience finally saw the truth behind his actions. Breaking Bad was not a story of a downtrodden man seeking success, lawful or otherwise. It was a tale of a man's descent into undeniable evil, driven by self-pity and greed. Unfortunately, the redemption of Skyler's character and her portrayer, Anna Gunn, was a realization that came too late for many fans. As Breaking Bad neared its conclusion, the lives of its characters were in shambles. Hank, Skyler's brother-in-law and a DEA agent, was killed in the line of duty. Walt's criminal empire had unraveled and he was on the run, leaving Skyler solely responsible for her son Walt Jr. and her infant daughter Holly. The show's final episode depicts Skyler in a government safe house, living under her maiden name and under the scrutiny of a criminal investigation. Her situation was bleak, to say the least. The absence of any follow-up in El Camino or Better Call Saul left fans speculating about Skyler White's post-Breaking Bad life. While their character was not explored further, a glimpse of hope emerged when a phone call between Saul Goodman and his secretary Francesca in Better Call Saul revealed that Skyler had received a plea deal from the government. However, even with the possibility of a plea deal, Skyler's future remained uncertain. She had no access to the money Walt had intended to leave for his family. Furthermore, her limited professional experience and the responsibility of caring for her infant daughter Holly suggested a challenging road ahead. Walt's actions throughout the series were undeniably devastating, especially when it came to Skyler. While Walt was responsible for numerous deaths, including those of rival drug dealers and associates, The damage he inflicted on his family, particularly Skyler, was equally profound. Anna Gunn, the actress who portrayed Skyler, described her character as a broken, devastated ghost of a human being. In her final scene with Walt, this portrayal of Skyler's emotional turmoil suggested that her recovery would be a long and arduous process. As Breaking Bad showcased, Skyler was willing to commit crimes to protect her family. Her unwavering commitment to her family's well-being might have driven her to make questionable choices. The potential reconnection with her sister Marie, who had her own issues with kleptomania, could have led to unforeseen consequences. Witnessing how Saul Goodman manipulated the legal system might have pushed both Skyler and Marie toward a life of crime. While neither Skyler nor Marie would likely descend to the depths of villainy that Walter did, their dire circumstances and need to provide stability for Walt Jr. and Holly might have driven them down a darker path. Marie's cameo in Better Call Saul's finale hinted at the possibility of both women straying from the straight and narrow. If Skyler were to face legal consequences for her involvement in Walt's criminal activities, she would likely be charged with aiding and abetting, as well as money laundering. However, her defense could be multifaceted. Firstly, the concept of mens rea would be pivotal in her defense, as her actions were primarily motivated by the desire to protect her family. According to criminal law, mens rea pertains to the psychological state of a defendant facing allegations of committing a criminal offense. She could argue that her cooperation with Walt was driven by fear for her safety and the safety of her children, rather than a genuine desire to aid his criminal endeavors. Another defense option for Skyler could be claiming duress, arguing that she committed the crimes under the threat or menace of Walt or other dangerous individuals. In California and New Mexico, this defense could potentially absolve her of most crimes, except murder. A plea bargain could emerge as the most viable option for Skyler to avoid significant prison time. Her cooperation in testifying against Walt and her legal rights as a spouse that prevent her from being forced to testify against her partner could lead to the charges being dropped or reduced. Although avoiding imprisonment would be a victory for Skyler, her life would remain challenging. Custody of her children would likely be at stake, and she might lose the car wash and her savings. Legal battles would consume her time and resources and her cooperation, ensuring Walt's conviction would keep her entangled in a web of criminal cases. Nonetheless, with the right defense attorney and a plea bargain, Skyler could hope for a brighter future, free from the threat of incarceration. But if she actually ends up in prison, it would be disastrous for her. Skyler's experience in prison, considering the statistics about incarcerated women and the challenges they face in maintaining contact with their children, it is plausible to imagine her enduring a difficult time. However, the fate of Skyler White after Walter's death is a question that continues to intrigue Breaking Bad fans. While the series provided a glimpse into her difficult circumstances, her post-Breaking Bad life remains a subject of speculation. Skyler's involvement in her husband's criminal activities, her legal defense options, and the challenges she would face if arrested all contribute to the mystery surrounding her future. Regardless of what the writers and creators of Breaking Bad had in mind, Skyler White's character remains a testament to the complexities and moral dilemmas explored in the series, leaving fans to ponder her fate long after the show's conclusion.